What's happening, people? Welcome back to the show. This is your host Niall of the Upper Tier. Obviously last night you realised we didn't do a Monday mashup. I was at an evening with Eric Bischoff in town in Dublin. It was absolutely cracking. Had a really good time. Got the usual picture, autograph, all that kind of stuff. So today we're bringing you kind of a, instead of a drive time, a kind of a Tuesday mashup, stroke Monday mashup kind of thing. We'll have a look down through the results for over the weekend. Some really interesting stuff happening there. We'll also take a little quick look at the three Premier League ties tonight in the Carabao Cup as well. See how they fare out as well. So let's get into this. We start off Crystal Palace 0, Fulham 0. Pretty even contest, probably as expected, as we forecasted on Thursday in the Thursday tier talk. Palace in 10th, Fulham in 11th. Not much between the two. Pretty even contest. Both teams have lost key men up front with Mitrovic and Zaha. So a little bit blunt up front at times. Both have very strong midfields, cancelling each other out. So this really wasn't an unexpected. We expected a score draw, but it wasn't unexpected that it was going to be a draw. Both teams kind of similar at the same level at the moment. Man City 2, Nottingham Forest 0. What a goal by Foden on 7. Kyle Walker's working the way. He picked up the ball down the right hand side, switched back to look to see where Foden was, played the ball back to him, and a sublime finish. As good a team goal as you're going to see. Man City, absolutely brilliant. Then Haaland on 14. At that stage the points were kind of wrapped up, we thought anyway. Forest did kind of huff and puff, tried to do certain things and stuff like that, but really it was really tough for them. Then Rodri sees red, grabs that boy by the throat, similar to what happened with Casemiro, and it'll be interesting to see how that bang goes. That could be influential. Rodri's such a big player for Man City. We even say on this podcast, bigger than Haaland and more important. So let us know your thoughts on that. Rodri picking up a red. Looks like he's going to miss at least 3 games, including the Arsenal game, which is huge for City. But let's see, we do know they have the resources to see through these kind of things, so shouldn't be a huge problem. But the talking point really coming out of it was the Rodri red. But the goal from Foden, go back and look at it, as good a goal as you'll see this season. Luton 1, Wolves 1. Both teams kind of, trying to play kind of a brand of football, but literally just do not have the quality up front. Neto scored, putting Wolves in front on 50 minutes, and then Morris with a penalty equalising. Luton kind of dominated the chances, but again, unless you have someone of that kind of quality that's going to take those chances, you're going to struggle, and that's the real downfall for both these teams. They literally do not have the quality up front. We can see what Gary O'Neill is trying to do at Wolves, but he just doesn't simply have the players. A lot of the build-up play looks really good, but when both teams get into that final third, there ain't nothing going on, and they will struggle this season. One of the shocks of the weekend, I thought Brentford 1, Everton 3. The Corey scores at 6, giving Everton the early lead. Jensen equalised on 28. Tarkowski popping up with a goal on 67. And Calvert-Lewin on 71, rounding out the points for Everton. Brentford somewhat, I'm not too sure, looking at Thomas Frank at the moment, stuff like that, are they kind of setting up the right way? Obviously the effect of not having Tony and his goals, very hard to replace. Now they have kind of weathered that a little bit, but eventually that does catch up with you. So a really difficult one. Huge 3 points for Everton and Sean Dyche. They would have been delighted with that. I think most people going into the weekend would have lumped on a kind of a Brentford win in this, especially Brentford being at home. I thought the Brentford crowd were really poor. I don't think they were up for it and stuff like that. But certainly the Everton players, once they got their nose in front with the Tarkowski goal, you've seen a very different Everton. Started to playing a bit of football and stuff like that. And always good to see Calvert-Lewin back off injury, picking up a goal as well. He's had a nightmare catalogue of injuries at this stage. But it just looked like Everton wanted it more, and it did look like Brentford today were really missing Tony. Next up, Burnley 0, Man United 1. That was the evening game. Company again, I think, scratching his head, talking about how good the football that they play and all that kind of stuff, and they do play nice football. They were by far the better team, I think, on the night against Man United in terms of overall football play. But when you get that one moment, that one finish in Bruno Fernandes, and you have a player like that in your team that Burnley don't have those players in the team that will crop up at key moments to get you those goals. You're bringing on the likes of Jay Rodriguez, but they just have no end product. Burnley playing nice football, and there's only so many times you can walk out and give interviews and talk about how you're playing nice football and all that kind of thing. But at some stage, you have to finish your dinner and you have to put points on the board. And Burnley are struggling in that area at the moment. Interesting to see how they go. Liverpool 3, West Ham 1. Really, really good game. Salah with a penalty on 16 got taken out in the box. Ultimately, if he hadn't got taken out, I think he would have finished it anyway. It was a great movement that led to the penalty. Bone equalised on 42 with just a lapse in concentration from Virgil van Dijk. Bone slid in ahead of him, finished into the bottom corner with a very, very low header. And fair play to him with that kind of that situation, throwing your head in there. It's not often what front players do to equalise going in. But then Darwin on 60. What a ball from Alexis McAllister over the top. Darwin with lovely control, finishes sublime. As good a goal as you'll see. And then the points were wrapped up at 85. Ball nodded down by Virgil van Dijk, drops to Jota, back post, kicks it in, ends it and finishes it. Poacher's goal is Jota. We know Jota in the 6-yard box, absolutely lethal. 3-1 to Liverpool. The Liverpool train keeps on rolling on. That's 5 wins and 6 in the Premier League, unbeaten so far in the Premier League, only 2 points off City, sitting at second, but nicely going under the radar and not being spoken about because of United's issues, because of Chelsea's issues, because of Arsenal's issues that are developing and stuff like that. We're just going nicely under the radar and not being spoken about, and long may it continue. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 1. Gusto picking up a red card on 58. Ollie Watkins, who we predicted in the Thursday tier talk, would get the goal on 73 minutes, the goal that decided the points. Chelsea in a really bad place at the moment, injury ravaged. Poch trying to figure out where the next points are going to come from, and if they don't score a goal against Brighton midweek in the Carabao Cup, they'll have gone a whole month without scoring, and they'll have no player picking up goal of the month. But that's only some of the stats that are out there. We've seen Jason Cundy on TalkSport talking about it, Rory Jennings talking about it. Chelsea are in a real bad place at the moment, and they need to figure it out. And you look at some of those injuries there, depending on when they're going to come back and stuff like that. We know, like, if any team loses the likes of an Nkunku and a Fofana and a Reece James and all that kind of stuff, it's really going to affect things. And we'll take a look at that. We'll do a show on Pochettino and on Chelsea probably tomorrow, and we'll take a look at that whole Chelsea situation and how it has unfolded and evolved, and how do they find themselves in this situation at the moment after spending $1 billion over 3 transfer windows. They find themselves blunt up front, can't score a goal, really, really struggling. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. But Chelsea, yeah. Brighton 3, Bournemouth 1. Big Dom Solanke taking the lead for Bournemouth on 25. Kerkez with an OG on 45. Matoma on 46 and 77. Brighton bouncing back with a big 3-1 win against Bournemouth at home. The Serbi just shown that mentality to adapt and stuff like that. Not a great midweek for them in the Europa and stuff like that, but shown that mentality in the league that you can go back, refocus, get it going and stuff like that. Big result for Brighton, especially after Europa disappointment. Arsenal 2, Spurs 2. Probably the game of the weekend that's created the most conversation, I would think. The goals coming in from Romero with an OG on 26, Son on 42 equalised, Saka with a penalty on 54, and Son with the equaliser on 55, and then the game ran out. Arsenal, I think, were decent first half, but again, I think sometimes when Arteta tinkers with things and stuff like that, he may have better options there, like Reece Nelson. He might have better options going into midfield. Would you bring on El Neni to shore it up a little bit more, or would you be bringing on a Kai Havertz? Especially when you still want Odegaard to go forward and supply those front men. You need that bit of cover there, and we know by bringing on Kai Havertz doesn't really do that. He's not going to be a sitting midfielder for you. He's going to be pushing forward. So the changes that Arteta made kind of exposed him a little bit, imbalanced the team, and gave Tottenham that impetus. And to be honest, I think most Arsenal fans would agree if the game went on another 10-15 minutes, Spurs probably would have won the game. Maddison was absolutely outstanding, especially second half. The big concern, of course, for Arsenal, of course, is Rice coming out of that game now. Another injury to add to their injuries. Rice, Partey, so many players there at the moment, key players and stuff like that. Timber probably gone for the whole season, who was looking amazing at the start. So yeah, it's racking up, bit of pressure on them at the moment. But let's see how it plays out. News coming out, of course, that Rice should be okay for the Man City game, which will be really, really important for them. He's a key player for them. Can't afford to lose any more players at the moment. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans, they would have said as well, they talk about squad depth and all that kind of stuff, and Fabio Vieira's been coming in and doing bits and all that kind of thing. Eddie Nketiah had looked okay for most of the season, stuff like that, but now we're starting to find out that bit of bluntness that's there. And it's a concern for Arsenal fans. I think they're concerned about their squad depth now and stuff like that. You can see the panic. Rice getting injured is setting in and stuff like that and all. So let's see how they handle that. And then we rounded out, of course, with Sheffield United 0, Newcastle 8. If there was ever a statement of bounce back from Newcastle only a few short weeks ago, there was questions over Eddie Howe. Went out, got a good result against AC Milan away during the week. 0-0 draw. But looked like they were able to withstand it and stuff like that. Most people would have expected Milan to pick up the points there. We know that Newcastle weren't really playing to the way that they could. They were struggling a little bit. Hence the questions over Eddie Howe, which I think is crazy. But let's rattle down through these 8 goal scorers. 8 separate goal scorers, which is phenomenal. Phenomenal result. I don't care who you're playing in the Premier League. One, to put 8 goals past the team is absolutely phenomenal, no matter who it is. But to have 8 separate goal scorers as well, absolutely electric. Shawnee Longstaff on 21, Dan Burn on 31, Botman on 35, Wilson on 56, Gordon on 61, Almiron on 68, Bruno Guimaraes on 73, and Alexander Isaac rounding it out on 87. Phenomenal goals coming from everywhere, from your defence, from your midfield, from your forwards. When you changed your forwards, other forwards came on, got goals as well. Really, really a statement win for Newcastle to show, listen, all is good here, we're back, we're ready to go, we're going to start moving up the league again and all that kind of stuff. So a huge win for Eddie Howe and Newcastle. I'm sure Newcastle fans are absolutely stoked. Right, let's get into Carabao Cup. We'll just chat about Tuesday, really, because we'll cover Wednesday tomorrow, probably. But Salford are playing Burnley. Burnley away at Salford. Kind of a little derby and stuff like that. I would expect Burnley to get that done. Interesting to see how Vincent Kompany goes. I think he should be lining up with the likes of Jay Rodriguez and that as a starter and stuff like that. They're so blunt up front, and I think this could be a game where the likes of Jay Rodriguez and that could pick up a couple of goals. So I'm going for a Burnley win on that one. Ipswich versus Wolves. I think it's going to be really difficult for Wolves away at Ipswich. Tough place to go on a Tuesday night. Weather's probably going to be filthy. We know that this apparent hurricane storm is going to hit our shores fairly soon. Coming in from the States, from Florida and stuff like that and all. So apparently there's heavy weather and storms on the way. So going to Ipswich on a Tuesday, soaking wet night, is going to be horrible for Wolves, who are blunt in front to goal. I think Ipswich put Wolves out tonight, heaping more pressure on Gary O'Neill, even though he hasn't been left with a whole lot to work with and stuff like that. But they should be getting the better of Ipswich, but I don't see them. I think Ipswich are going to knock Wolves out tonight. And then a huge one tonight. United obviously bouncing back with a 1-0 win against Burnley. Performance kind of flattered to deceive. Apart from the goal from Bruno, there wasn't a whole lot else in it. In large trenches of that game, Burnley were controlling the game and stuff like that. Which is not a good sign for United, but it is a good sign when you can put the 3 points on the board and not have played as well as you expected. But tonight they host Crystal Palace, and this is a double header for them, because then I think it's Crystal Palace at the weekend as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what team Roy deploys. I don't think he has a lot of resources available to him, so you could see 2 very similar teams and stuff like that. We know Crystal Palace, depending on the midfield that goes into Man United, it's so imbalanced these days with injuries and stuff like that. Will we see Mount coming back in? Will we see Amrabat start? Will Scott McTominay come in? All these different things. Will Ericsson start? This is the way. How will this midfield look from a balance point of view? We know how strong Crystal Palace's midfield are as well. So United could run the risk tonight of getting overrun in midfield again if they deploy an imbalanced midfield. But I'm not too sure. I think United in this one probably just get over the line, because again, Palace in front of goal, just a little bit blunt at the moment. Seeing it at the weekend with the 0-0 with Fulham at home. So I think they may struggle. Again, it depends on what Team United puts out there as well, because they may potentially not see this as a priority, and this might be an opportunity for Ten Hag to put in Palestri, to put in Garnacho, to try different stuff, to start Hannibal again and all that kind of stuff, and maybe try out that youth and give it a feel, and maybe that's the way to go. A lot of United fans have been talking for this youth to be used, that this is the DNA of Manchester United. So let's see what happens tonight. I'm sure United fans an hour out will be waiting with bated breath for that lineup, and Crystal Palace the same. I just see a tight win for Man United knocking Crystal Palace out. But again, let us know your thoughts, let us know your predictions down in the comments. I am Niall, this is the Upper Tier. This has been your Monday/Tuesday mashup. We are going to be doing a show looking at the Jadon Sancho situation as well. And as a neutral on the outside that doesn't have a Sancho bias or a Ten Hag bias, or an allegiance to one or the other, let's look at it from a kind of an outsider's perspective and see what we think about how this thing is unfolding. It's escalating by the day and stuff like that, and not helping United or Ten Hag's situation. So we'll talk about that at some stage during the day. We'll drop it tonight probably as a video or on the way home or whatever it is. Listen folks, have a great Tuesday. Stay safe. If the weather's battering you, stay in, from no reason to go out. Stay inside, stay safe. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, drop a like on the video and share the content, and we'll talk to you again real soon.